Wings of Fire, The Dragonet Prophecy. Chapter 3. Suddenly there was a thundering crash from the central cave. Clay heard the entrance portal slam back into place, and then a rumble of heavy footsteps. From the extra squish fluff sound of them, he knew it must be Rebs. "Something's happening," Tsunami said. She hurried to the door, her ears twitching and a spiny ridge along her back standing straight up. "We have to go listen." Starflight spread his wings slowly. "I'm sure we'll find out what the fuss is in the morning." "I don't want to wait that long." Tsunami spun around to jab his underbelly with her tail, and he tipped backwards with a grunt. "Don't be a smoke breather. Let's go." She whirled out of the cave. Clay winced as his sore muscles sprang into action. She followed Gory to the central cave. Gory's scales were already changing to match the molten gray and black rocks. Starflight slipped past to join her, and the two of them hurried away towards the tunnel that led to the big dragon's cave. They vanished almost immediately into the shadows. Hidden by their coloring, they'd get as close as they could to eavesdrop. But Clay and Tsunami had an even better spot of hearing everything if they hurried. Tsunami was already charging across the cave to the river. "What about Sunny?" Clay called quickly. He could hear the tiny sandwing rummaging around the sleeping cave, putting scrolls away. "We'll come up with something to tell her later," she hissed back. Clay felt sorry for Sunny, and Sunny was the only one who didn't know about their little spying games. But they learned their lessons about trusting her with secrets long ago. Sunny hadn't meant to tell June about the pile of rocks the Dragonets were collecting. The plan was to build a tower up to the sky hole. Back when they were too small to fly. They'd only wanted to stick their heads out and look around. But one day, Sunny forgot to be careful around June, and the next day, all the collected rocks were gone from their hiding place. That was the end of that plan, and of Sunny getting to know everything. Tsunami disappeared into the river with a nearly soundless splash. Her pale green flickers under the dark blue scales, swishing. The pale green flickers under her dark blue scales shimmered as she swam upriver. Clay dove in after her, wishing he could see in the dark like she could. At least she remembered to activate the glow-in-the-dark stripes along her tail. Mudwings couldn't breathe underwater like sea wings, but they could hold their breath for up to an hour. So whenever the Dragonets wanted to spy on their guardians, Clay and Tsunami could use the river to get closer than the others. He caught up to the sea wing as she wiggled through the underwater gap in the cave walls. It made Clay nervous every time, squeezing through such a small space. He wished he hadn't eaten that extra cow. His claws scrabbled on the rocks, catching the crevice. There was a brief, terrifying moment, as his midsection got stuck. Would he drown here? Would the prophecy be ruined because of an extra cow? Then, with a whoosh of bubbles, he popped through and shot off the tsunami. Her tail stripes went dark as she swam closely to the Guardian's cave. The three older seawings hardly paid any attention to the river, except for Webbs, who sometimes slept in the shallows. It would never occur to them that two pairs of dragon ears might be poking out of the water, listening. Chloe drifted to stop near the entrance with Tsunami swam to the far side of the room. There was at least one way. That way, at least one of them could hear, no matter where the managers were talking. Tonight, however, Clay was pretty sure everyone could hear everything. Including Glory and Starflight in the passageway outside. From the way Kestrel was shouting, it was possible that even the Skywings up in the mountain peaks could hear her. Coming here with no warning, after 6 years, suddenly he's interested. A jet of fire shot out of her snout and blasted the nearest rock column. Maybe he wants to make sure they're ready to stop the war, Webb suggested. Dean snorted. These dragonettes. Then he'll be very disappointed. He eased himself into a flat boulder, stretching his foreleg stub and his mangled wings. The big sand-winged dragon never discussed his scar or how he lost his foot, but the dragonettes could guess from the anger in his voice whenever he talked about the war. In fact, the fact that he couldn't fly was probably why he was chosen for the underground dragon minding duty. He clearly wasn't picked for his warm, mud-throwing personality. We've done our best, Webb said. The prophecy chose those dragonettes, not us. Does he even know what happened? Kestrel demanded. Does he know about the broken egg and the rain wings? Or the defective sand wing? Clay winced. Poor Sonny. He floated closer, keeping his bulky brown length below the surface of the dark water. He knew that through the ripples he could see the buried shapes of the large dragon gathered around the fire. Webbs flapped his wings. I'm not sure. Webbs flapped his wings. I'm not sure what he knows or what he cares. The message just said Morrissey is coming. I'm supposed to meet him and bring him tomorrow. Morris here? That sounded familiar. Clay racked his brain. A dragon from history class? One of the tribe rulers? Oh, no, it can't be. The tribe rulers are all queen. All the tribes are ruled by queens. I'm not worried about Sunny, Doom said. We followed the prophecy instructions. It's not our fault she's the way she is. But the Rain Wing, he's not going to like that. A deep growl rumbled in Kestra's throat. I don't like it either. I never had. Chloe's not bad, Webs argued. She's smarter than she wants us to think. You overestimate her because you brought her here, Doom said. She's lazy and worthless like the rest of her tribe. And she's not a Skywing, Kestra snapped. We're supposed to have a Skywing. Clay wished that Glory didn't hear all this. The Guardians never hid how they felt about her. And she never acted like she cares. But he wished that he could tell her that, and he could tell her that she was just as important and smart as any Skywings. Well, I never thought Morrisio would come and look at them, Webb said. After he dropped off Starflight's egg, I never knew we'd see him again. The Nightwings have nothing to do with in the war. So he's a Nightwing, which means superpower, mysterious, and full of himself. That was all Clay remembered about Nightwings. He found himself actually wishing he could get a lecture from Starflight. The epic wonderfulness of the Nightwings was the Black Dragon's favorite topic. Didn't the Talons say what he wants? Kestra asked. Well, it's his prophecy, Webb said. I guess he wants to make sure it'll actually come true. Morrisia. He felt a jolt run through him, like the slithering shock he sometimes got when Dune whacked him with his barbed tail if he wasn't paying not paying attention. Morrisia was a Nightwing who had spoken to the Dragonet prophecy 10 years ago. They had learned about him in his story, but it was one of many facts that Clay could never remember. Who had delivered the prophecy and never remember. That Clay could never remember. Could the delivered prophecy never seem as important as who was in the prophecy? But maybe Morrisia was more important than Clay had realized. After all, he was coming to see them. Perhaps he would take them out into the world. Perhaps they didn't need to escape after all. Perhaps everything was about to change.